thanks everybody for coming. Really surprised at the turnout, seeing that I think Drew and I only started organising this about 8 days ago. So we really weren't expecting this many people, which is great that the cloud community is so vibrant. And
that which one had chairs?
Yes. So tonight, I might just put this beer down. Hopefully I don't kick it.
How are you? You mean this is not Alcoholics Anonymous?
So tonight you probably will have noticed the drone sitting up here. We're going to get a bit creative and look at the cloud and do a part 2 continuation from the last PUG event where we were going through the theory of controlling a drone there. So just a quick talk about our sponsors that are making this happen, all the great food and drinks, a little bit of a cloud recap, just what's happening around the cloud with all the various different brand names out there. And then we're lucky enough to have Andrew here, who's going to talk to us about the Internet of Things and his experiences there and in the cloud. And then, yes, we'll get into the cloud drone demo and actually see if my theory and it works in practice that we'll talk about at the last PUG. And then finally, lightning talks. If anybody here wants to jump up and give us a little bit, 5 minutes about what you're doing in the cloud, just have a think about that now. I'll ask for hands. Don't feel bad if nobody puts up hands. Don't feel like you have to jump up. It's just an opportunity for anybody doing anything cool in the cloud, or even it can be boring and enterprise. Love to hear about what's there, and it'll also help with everybody else in the community to know, hey, maybe I should go talk to that person about what they're doing, because that's exactly what I'm doing as well. So just very briefly about the PUG concept. A lot of you, I see a lot of familiar faces, so you've probably heard my spiel about this a few times. But for those who don't know, the idea of the PUG is just to talk about the cloud in general. So we're not aligning with a particular private cloud or public cloud offering. We're just talking about it in general. Happy to do comparisons or talk offline about the details of a certain brand out there. And we're also looking for volunteers to help out. Obviously there's a lot that goes on to make this happen. Just moving all this food and everything just from our cars alone is a bit back-breaking for a weak little thing like me. So so yeah, and the idea here is just to educate and share within the community. I like to really, what I like to see is just a community where we're all open, there's nothing hidden. Today the technology is moving so fast that even if you had a secret today, you probably find out your secret has been outdone by somebody else tomorrow anyway, so there's no point keeping it to yourself. And then lightning talks. Oh, and so we are recording this event. And if anybody here is involved in any other cloud orientated events, we're happy to use the sponsorship money that we get for this event to record your event. And we've also hired a professional film editor now, because I just can't keep up, and we haven't even put out the video from last PUG yet. So we realized that we need to hire somebody to help us out, get that happening quickly. So we've actually hired somebody there. So if you do miss a PUG event, don't worry, we're going to have it up online, and it's hopefully going to be interesting and not something that you'd fall asleep to.
Hey Matt, besides the coffee, cloud.net, do you have the beer card too?
The beer cloud? Yes, maybe. I'll have to check that domain.
On it
yeah, quick, look on GoDaddy. Just a little mention of our sponsors. We've got a new sponsor now, Nutanix, who've been able to keep the beer flowing and keep the cheese and dips and everything available. We've got Soft Choice where I'm from, and we've got a few staff here tonight who you may have met during the networking session. So if you've got any Microsoft, Amazon, hardware, any project management, consulting work that you need help with around IT, let us know, reach out. And then Coffee Cloud, that's just my personal blog. So obviously I get to get on there.
Who's your Nutanix? Can you show me?
Nutanix, so Aleem is the local person who you'd want to talk to from Nutanix. Unfortunately, he's not here tonight, but I can definitely put you in contact with him if you like. And even Soft Choice, we sell Nutanix as well, so we can help you out with that.
Thank you.
Just wanted to invite Chris up just to say a few words about Wishpond, who have been generous enough to let us use their space tonight to make this happen. Oh, that's not Chris.
I'm not Chris. My name is Nick. I'm the Chief Product Officer here at Wishpond.
Oh, good about you.
Pardon me? Thanks. So, yeah, we're just a local Vancouver startup. For you guys who don't know, Wishpond builds simple marketing software for small to medium-sized businesses and marketing agencies, which you can use to generate and nurture leads online. So do things like build landing pages and social promotions and forums to generate leads, and then nurture them to sales with email automation campaigns and retargeting ads and Facebook ads and custom audience ads and all that cool stuff. Short and sweet. Thanks.
Okay, now's for the mouthful. If you've been at a PUG event before, you know that this is my only complicated slide. It looks a bit scary at first, but basically just going to go through a run-through of what's been happening in the cloud lately. This month, I've concentrated on Azure, OpenStack, and AWS. If you deal with any other clouds besides these, feel free to send me an email before the event, and happily throw those in here as well. And even if you want to jump up here and tell everybody about that area of the cloud, maybe you're dealing with Rackspace or VMware's vCloud or some other brand, I would love it if you wanted to come up here and just give us your more deeper dive into what's happening with those clouds. So Microsoft Azure, is anybody here using Microsoft Azure? You don't have to look guilty about it. Nobody's going to throw anything. But if you've been trying out the preview portal, which is there's a normal portal on the website that you can go to, which has been around for a few years now, to control your Azure. They've actually got a preview portal that actually looks fantastic. It's a really funky looking interface. And it's got a whole swag of new updates this month. So if you're using Azure and you haven't had a look at the preview portal, just jump in there. I'm used to the old version, so I'm always lazy and jump back in there, but I should be jumping in there more and more. It actually does have a nice looking little dashboard as well. There's a new white paper out about network security, which actually, on that point, our next PUG is going to be on security. So if you're interested, and this, I haven't had a read of it yet, but it probably would be something that would be interesting to read no matter what cloud you're in. Obviously Azure, get the same questions about security in the cloud, just like any other cloud host out there. And then the beta release of Docker Machine and Swarm on Azure. And also if you're running Hyper-V on your hardware, it's also, I believe it's beta as well, and supporting Hyper-V. And then there's a little bit more love from Microsoft for Linux. They're running HD Insight now on Linux. Azure Backup has had a few more features added to it as well. There's long-term retention and offline seeding. So those are interesting things that people have been asking for a while. And then OpenStack. Anybody here using OpenStack? All right, good. Good hand. A bit more proud than the Microsoft fanboys. So if you weren't aware, 2 months away is the summit, and if you are new to OpenStack and you're thinking of becoming a contributor or interested in what's around that contributor, there's 2 days prior to the actual summit. They're actually doing I think it's more like a workshop around helping you out and letting you know the intricacies of what's involved in getting involved, and that's free. And then Amazon AWS, so they're going GA in Oregon for their EC2 container service, which is their Docker like service. Well, it is supporting Docker. So that's slowly, I think January they released it on the East Coast, and now they're releasing it on the West Coast. So obviously that's slowly maturing in this scope of the releases across the globe. And then yes, they've just updated their plugin for Microsoft's System Center Virtual Machine Manager. So that I think was it our first PUG that we ever had. Went through how System Center and vCenter could plug into different clouds. So that's what that's about. And then Lambada, the preview for that has been opened up to everyone. The idea of Lambada is if something happens to your infrastructure, you can have that trigger a code that you have sitting up there to execute. And then the CIA, there's been a lot of talk about last year about the CIA getting involved with AWS to look after their data center. So that's going live, I think this month or next month. And then CloudFront and Route 53, so that's all about DNS and caching. They've got new locations now in Seoul, Korea. Seamless is another Microsoft piece to the AWS story that's come out, seamless domain join, which means that, so one of the cool things about this is you could have a template for a server sitting there, and when it spins up, it will automatically join to a domain. So that's probably one of the holdbacks about Windows a lot of the time compared to Linux when you automate things, is that whole domain join piece. And then Amazon have also introduced a new exam certification for DevOps, the professional exam. I think from memory it goes associate exams the first one, and then the professional exams next. So they already had the associate one, and this is the next level up from that. Does anybody have any questions about this? I don't normally take questions, but I think... Sorry?
You took off Google off the list?
Yeah, what's Google? What?
Just nothing new.
I got to a point where I just go, you know what? I throw it out to everybody else to help me out. So if that's you're putting up your hand, no, it's okay. You can help contribute to the Google bit next. I've earmarked you now. You're on my radar.
Can you tell me something
Google
about the last one professional exam?
Yes.
That's only for the AWS or for Microsoft too?
No, that's just AWS. So, but obviously Microsoft have their own exams as well. I must say, Microsoft are always very good at having an exam for every single little thing. Okay, now, so the topic of tonight's event was, I think I called it the Cloud of Things. So just touching on the idea of the Internet of Things. So really, why are we looking at the Internet of Things? Why is it just a fad, something that's coming about? I don't think so. I think it's something just like tablets 2 years ago was something that we were all thinking, do we really need them? And now there's people everywhere with big screen tablets, and even I'm sure everybody, well, I know I have multiple tablets just sitting around the house doing nothing that I'm trying to repurpose all the time.
Don't use the tablet.
But it's not a fad.
Sorry?
But it's not a fad.
I'm not saying it was a. I'm just saying 2 years ago we were thinking maybe it was a fad.
That's a free from data.
I think now we can all admit that tablets have come into their own. I'm actually always trying to look at getting rid of my laptop and just having a tablet sort of thing.
Don't buy tablet. Only buy the 2-in-1 or don't buy tablet and Chromebook. They are garbage. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Well, I did see the other night a Chromebook beat a MacBook in working for a presentation.
Yeah, buy the 2-in-1 or Ultrabook. That's the best one.
Expensive though.
No, they are done. No one now. Okay. Let's go into the Dell outlet to buy them. Sorry. You're right, Dell.
So anyway, CES this year, which was in Vegas in January, I think, their whole theme to this year's big CES was the Internet of Things.
For the CES, there's another one coming very good in Shanghai in May.
Oh, there's another. Oh well, the Vegas one for
Yeah.
January. I don't know what the themes are for the other CESs
Much better.
this year, but yeah. This geeky-looking guy here, that's what Virgin Atlantic engineers are now being forced to wear with Sony watches and these funky-looking glasses. I don't know. I wonder. I was wondering to myself, are they just going to wear them in front of the cameras and take them off? And also battery life. I was
Matt,
wondering
what kind of
about
watch you
that.
are wearing?
Yes. The watch. You notice I didn't criticize the watch. It's just the glasses that I'm criticizing.
Thank you.
So and then the Apple Watch is coming out in April, I believe. So yeah. So really coming into its own. And so, I'd like to introduce Andrew, who's from Commandware, local Vancouver company. And I believe they deal with a lot of wearables for first response sort of areas.
Yep.
So not really talking about the consumer type piece, really looking at that more serious. So I guess it really shows that the Internet of Things is coming a long way from just a Nest device or a funky watch, but it could actually be something that we rely on and start depending on in the future for serious services. So I'll hand it over to Andrew.
Sure, sounds good. I'm totally going to steal these chairs because I just finished this the other day, and I haven't actually done this presentation before because I haven't talked about the Internet of Things before, but it'll be fine. And let me grab my beer. This is indeed one of the Pebble Classics, as I believe they're now calling them. Oh, Matt, I think you forgot your beer up here.
Oh no, that's blasphemy.
Can't have the man going thirsty.
Especially Australian.
Okay, so just to start things off here, I think do I have an intro slide here? There we go, the Internet of Stuff and Things. When Matt first approached Commandware and said, hey, do you want to go and do a talk about the IoT? We said, sure, why not? Sounds like a good idea. And I thought, what the heck am I going to talk about? There's just so many things I could possibly cover in this entire spectrum. It may be a little bit rambly, may cover a lot of territory, but to start off, I'd like to find out sort of how familiar people are with the IoT. So who could say they have an idea of what the Internet of Things is about? Okay, who would say that they're fairly, they have a solid understanding of what it's about? And who would say that they're an expert? Okay, next time you're giving the talk.
Yeah, that's right. You can get the beer, okay? Yeah.
And similarly on the cloud technology side of things, so who's sort of a novice when it comes to cloud computing? Okay, who's got some decent experience with it? And who would say they're an expert? Okay, so again, a few of you, if I start making things up, just call me out on it, okay? So the Internet of Things really is just one of those great buzzword phrases. It's kind of like cloud computing or big data. It's sort of used to lump a whole bunch of things into something and then raise a bunch of money to sell things. But really, we're just talking about devices that have some sort of connectivity to the internet. They've got the capability to communicate with other devices and applications. Maybe there's other systems or application gateways, translating protocols or transports along the way. But when you get right down to it, it's stuff talking to things over the internet. So getting things onto the internet, I mean, people have been trying to connect things to the internet for, well, pretty much as long as there's been an internet. Whether it's coffee machines or like Coke dispensers or toasters, someone was already trying to rig it up in their lab and kind of get things connected. But it's only been more recently in the last decade that internet connected devices have become a bit more ubiquitous. So kind of to start off, I've put together this lovely slide here, which looks like something the NSA would be doing. I'm not talking about X-key score today, but try to throw a whole bunch of different things on there. On the sort of the far left side, left side, we sort of have a more industrial setup. So on the critical infrastructure side, you sort of started off with like a lot of sort of infrastructure monitoring, maybe factory process automation kind of things over the years. A number of years ago, I was working for a company up in North Van called Frontier Geosciences, and they were called to do this job to basically kind of, there's a pumping station, they wanted to figure out what's happening when we go and hit the big red emergency shutdown button at this pumping station. Is everything kind of staying in its normal tolerances? Are these machines shifting off their footings? What's happening there? So we went in, installed a whole bunch of sensors for them, wired it all up, went back up to the control room, and then went and hit the big button and heard the loud crashing noise, but everything was fine. We pulled all the data out of there, took it back to our offices, went and wrote up a nice report for them and probably charged them a whole lot of money. But really, what they wanted to go and figure out in their bunker with their series of tubes and pumps and whatnot in there was like, are these devices operating the way they should be all the time? Now we were able to tell them that yes, under these tests that we went and did, we were able to go and determine that everything was working fine in this particular case. But one of the things that you can actually get when you internet enable all this infrastructure is every time those pumps start up and shut down, you can see that yes, okay, they're vibrating this much, that it shifts this little bit, but then it shifts back, everything's okay. And you can see that it's continuously operating within those design tolerances. So being able to go from the sort of like one-off measurements and going through all this effort to actually make sure that, yeah, okay, this thing worked, and being able to determine regularly that everything's working fine is one of the great things you can do. So on there we've got a bunch of sensors and actuators going through control network to the operations consoles, some local sort of monitoring systems there, and then you sort of get up to the level that goes through the firewall onto your corporate network out to the internet, being able to monitor these systems from anywhere. And being able to sort of go into that amount of depth there really is sort of one of those great things that sort of the Internet of Things has sort of brought to infrastructure monitoring and process automation. You can have the same sort of thing monitoring production lines in a series of factories spread out across the world and know that everything's being manufactured the way it should be. And so sort of in the middle level there, I kind of have a little home network there. This kind of came out of sort of the building management and automation side of things. So you've got, we go back a couple of decades, you've got your buildings, you've got your power distribution systems, you've got your heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. And as time goes on, you start sort of monitoring these. Maybe you start hooking it up with digital protocols such as Modbus or BACnet. You've got your, RS-485 serial bus, and you start wiring all these things together to your 386 with some, old software to actually keep track of everything and how it's working. And as time goes on, these things start to improve and improve, and eventually you get like, hey, we can go and have like a Modbus gateway, and we can connect this to the internet. Isn't this great? And so you've got these systems which suddenly now can be, monitored and controlled by like a building management company.
Now you have Stuxnet.
Now you've got Stuxnet, exactly. You've got vulnerabilities for these process control systems and these building management systems where people, if you can get past your security somehow, or you've done a crappy job of securing it, people can get in and go and mess with it. Maybe it's someone just making sure you can never turn your lights on, or maybe it's someone just toggling them off and on and causing someone with photosensitive epilepsy to have a seizure. It could be anything like that. So you need to be really careful, of course, about securing these things, which I'll be getting to a little bit later on. Of course, this all eventually trickles down to your home network. With the advances in miniaturized networking technologies, as time's gone on, so you have suddenly embedded Ethernet controllers, you've got all this worked into sort of the system on a chip layer, combined with all the peripherals. All the advances in wireless technology as well. I mean, Bluetooth coming out of Ericsson in the mid-90s, I think. Zigbee and Z-Wave. The advances in just Wi-Fi on the home front as well, suddenly becoming widely available. And you can have all these devices which can easily talk to each other in your home without having to go and start wiring up your own serial networks everywhere to control everything, which is probably a good thing, because otherwise my wife would kill me. So what happens is, it's really nice. You get improvements in battery technology as well. These are some of the things which sort of start driving it towards the mobile and the personal space as well. But rather than having to wire power to these things, you've got the improvements in power density, and so you can have your little, electronic door lock, which you have to change the battery on, maybe once a year or something like that. That you can have on your front door to control that if that's how you want to go with it. And there's also other great things. You can, network your LED lighting systems with Philips Hue, TM. And even your smoke detectors, if you really want to go to that incredible extreme. I'm sure there's probably some people who think it's a great idea. I'm maybe not one of them, but maybe I'm not their target market. But so all of these things together, though, play together, and you get kind of that home area network with all of these devices that kind of work along with your computers and consoles and home entertainment systems as well. Of course, I mentioned the improvements in battery technology. We also have display technology improvements, again, with miniaturization, improved power usage, and this sort of works into kind of all the mobile devices we have with us, our smartphones, our smartwatches, heads-up displays like Google Glass or Recon's Jet, which will be released any month now, I'm sure. And sort of these things, combined with those low-power wireless networking technologies, you can kind of get this great personal area network going on. So here's one of our little fun marketing images we have with, I think we dubbed the responder of the future. So this very serious looking fellow there is, I think he's wearing a Recon Jet prototype. He's got a hazmat sensor. You can talk to his smartphone. He's got some body worn video there. Either providing live streaming over the internet to his operations center to provide them with a view of what's going on. Also to record what's happening just for accountability purposes as well. And also devices like standalone GPS trackers. Where am I going with this? So we've got all these really cool technologies, but naturally they kind of bring a few challenges with them as well. So that brings us to a few problems with the Internet of Things. Security being a really important one of them. Device security, you kind of run into a lot of issues with embedded devices. Most people probably, your average consumer, their home system, they've installed Windows or Mac OS, and it automatically updates itself whenever something major comes along, and it's probably fine most of the time. How many of these people actually bother to update their home router? Okay, good. Some people here, yes, exactly. Me as well. Anytime I hear about something that's like, oh crap, I better go and make sure that I'm not vulnerable to Heartbleed and I've actually properly secured this thing, or misfortune cookie isn't an issue on my particular system as well because they happen to go and use some crappy firmware.
A better question: who here has actually changed the default passwords on their equipment?
That's a good question as well.
Because that is actually it's not like these random attacks. It's actually default passwords that get more and more people. Like your router is just a Linux box. That's all it is.
Yeah. Change it from like admin to password, or admin and admin, or blank and admin. It's a funny story. I was looking at the previous slide. I was looking at those sort of standalone trackers, and I was sort of looking at inexpensive options. What can we buy? And found a pretty cheap one. It's like, oh, this looks pretty good, and sort of start reading through their documentation to see what they've done with it. Well, you configure it over SMS, which doesn't sound too bad. I mean, it's not great, but it could be worse until you read, okay, that's secured by a 4-digit PIN. The default password is 1234. Not great. I mean, you kind of wonder, well, how many people have actually changed these things when they sent them to the field? Because who's going to go and just randomly start texting numbers to a phone and have it send information back to them? That would never happen, I'm sure. But through that, it's like, you keep looking, it's like, okay, well, how does it report everything back to the server you've configured on there? And you look, it's like, oh, it just sends it back in plain text over HTTP. No SSL, no TLS, just nothing, it just sends it back. It's like, okay, so we're going to stop looking at that one and maybe buy a different one. So we've got like Heartbleed and Shell Shock and the misfortune cookie and all that kind of things. A lot of potential issues with embedded devices that never get properly updated. Of course, you also consider, people setting default passwords or poorly securing their home routers, and now you get past you have someone actually attacking their router, getting in, and you've got all these wonderful things that you configured on your home network, like your lights and your locks and your, cameras and baby monitors and all that kind of stuff, is now potentially vulnerable as well. I mean, maybe you actually bothered securing those because you figured that even though they're on your home network, they should be properly secured, or maybe you just left them all at defaults or didn't even set any passwords, and now someone's messing around on your network. So device. Sorry.
No.
Okay. So device security is a big issue as well there. Of course, network security is also a massive issue, which constantly crops up. Bluetooth's usually fine for most things. Once you've got them properly paired, there's been some attacks against it, but yes.
A lot of devices have default passcodes.
A lot of devices have default passcodes.
000000.
Yeah, and depending on how they set them up, like do they ignore pairing requests? I mean, theoretically, you could try to DDoS someone's Bluetooth device by constantly sending pairing requests to it, and there's a number of issues with that. So it again depends on how they've implemented their Bluetooth pairing process. So you should secure those, of course, and use devices that don't suck. But also, of course, secure your internet connections as well. I mean, I mentioned the devices just using HTTP. I mean, minimum, go and use some TLS. I mean, on there, I know SSL's had some issues over the years, but they've, every time they find a new problem, at least they fix it. It's, kind of at a minimum what you should be doing. And so, and then cloud and server data security, that's its own series of, multi-day workshops. I won't really delve into that too much right now. But we also sort of have what Jean-Louis could say sort of dubbed the basket of remotes problem. So when you think about your home entertainment system, you've got your TV, it's got a remote. You've got your stereo, your DVR, your DVD player. They each have a remote. They do their own job great. You buy them from different companies. They'll have the remote, it does the job. When you want to go and say switch inputs, I have to go and grab this remote and do that thing, and then grab that remote and do the other thing. Sometimes you can get a universal remote to kind of help you do everything, but a lot of the time it sort of works out to be a giant pain in the ass and doesn't even work all that well. And if someone, presses a button on something, the remote has no idea what's going on because it doesn't get signals from them. And now everything's out of sync and you may as well just power it all down and try again. So when you kind of look at the Internet of Things, especially in the consumer space, you have a lot of these single-purpose devices. So they're all standalone. You've got your Fitbit, which sends stuff up into the cloud, and you've got a service there, it's great, it helps track that. You've got all sort of these one-off little individual things, all intended to work really well by themselves, but when you want to start pulling all this data together, you end up with essentially a basket full of remotes on your living room table, and having to go and use each one individually to actually try to get anything done. In the sort of the commercial space, it's usually not as big a deal. A lot of products there are targeted more towards enterprises that have IT departments or software integration teams that can then try to go and work with things or work with the manufacturers, the vendors to actually pull all the information out of there and then go and write custom integrations for everything. But for your average consumer, usually not an option. Fortunately, there are some companies out there which sort of try more towards having open APIs to access everything. Really, as a software developer, I strongly support that. Please do. And thankfully, you also find companies like If This Then That, sort of being able to set up some automated utilities, and so like, oh hey, I just uploaded my stuff from my Fitbit. Cool, we're going to go take that and export it and do something else with it, and being able to sort of set up these different recipes and being able to run different things sort of based on what you've been doing with your various services in the cloud. So that sort of takes us to using the cloud with the Internet of Things. I think I stole the slide from Intel once I found it on AnandTech, because I'm like, how do I find a slide that represents the Internet of Things in the cloud? So this kind of covers some of it. So you've got a lot of devices, you're generating a lot of data, and thankfully bandwidth has gotten a lot cheaper over the years. In the last decade, what do they say? Cost of bandwidth, there we go, down 40 times. Isn't that lovely? So we've gone from having like CDMA and 2G GSM, going through EVDO and 3G, and now 4G LTE. So bandwidth's gone up a lot, and you can really send a lot more through these higher speed data connections. We're no longer, for like industrial and field devices, we're no longer bound to having a bunch of modems in a shack somewhere dialing up once a week to go and upload telemetry data. You can now have these things actually sending things in real time, and of course you're getting a lot more data as a result. On the home front, there was a Pew Research study in 2003 showing that 16% of American adults had broadband in the home. 10 years later, that was up to 70%, and I didn't bother checking what it is right now, but I'm sure it's probably well into the 80s, if not higher. I'm sure you all know lots of good reasons to use the cloud versus your own, dedicated infrastructure. I won't go into reasons why you don't want to build multiple data centers. I know I don't want to build them, but someone will, and good for them. I'll happily pay them money to do it. But again, so we've got bandwidth costs going down, we've got the cost of sensors dropping, we've got the cost of processing going down, or more the cost of processing probably remaining the same, but the amount of processing power available for that money has gone up dramatically. The upshot to all of this is that now all this data you're sending into the cloud, it's easier to go and store it, it's easier to process it, it's much cheaper than it ever was. And you can end up doing a lot of fun, big data-y kind of things with that, which again is its own series of talks.
About one thing, if we build the multiple VPN, it would be cheaper than the clouding?
Sorry, building a multi-point VPN would be cheaper than
clouding.
The cloud?
No.
you probably wouldn't be able to take advantage of the scale that various infrastructure as a service and platform as a service providers might be able to do. Again, it may depend on what you're trying to do and exactly how much you're building out. I'll leave that up to the business people to actually figure out. I know as a developer, it's way more convenient for me to not worry about that and to use someone else's PaaS or IaaS. Is that how you pronounce infrastructure as a service? Yep. So, I mean, there's a couple things to remember when you've got all of your juicy data. You finally sent it up to the cloud. We're assuming that your ops team has told you how to secure it properly, and you've listened to them. Your consumers want to know that their data is secure. There's at least one good group out there, the Open Web Application Security Project, OWASP. They've got a really great sort of list of best practices and things that people should generally be looking at as to not screwing up their data security online. I won't go into a lot of detail, but I highly recommend checking it out. It's a pretty good source, right? Yeah. www.owasp.org. I recommend reading it. And of course, yes.
And SANS, SANS.
SANS as well. .net, was it?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
They sent me an email.
How much are you getting paid?
A lot.
But yeah, so no, data security is really important though for consumers to understand that everything's safe. And of course you also get into data privacy as well. I mean, maybe you're dealing with healthcare data or some other personally identifiable information. I'm sure we have laws in Canada about what you can and can't send across the border. I don't know what they specifically are, but I usually try to err on the side of caution. Good reason to look at Canadian cloud hosting providers if that is your particular important thing. Yes, so this has been a lot of exciting rambling about how we kind of got from things to the Internet of Things and some of the things that were available with it. I think I'm kind of running low on time here. It's supposed to be 15 or 20 minutes, and I'm sure I've been talking for at least that. So would you like to know more? I'll just tell you a quick minute about my company. Commandware, we do real-time, simple-to-use mobile situational awareness software for first responders, police, fire, ambulance, helping them to kind of keep their eyes on their jobs, keep their hands on their jobs, and making it easy for them to go to respond to emergencies and tracking them and keeping them safe. If you'd like to know more, check out our website, commandware.com, or see us on the TELUS Internet of Things Marketplace, where we have both our situational awareness product as well as one for lone workers, people working off in the field by themselves. And of course, like most software development shops, we're hiring right now, so we're also looking for a couple of developers. Let me know if you're interested, or drop me a line if you or someone you know is looking for a job. Okay, awesome. Any questions about my many words about things?
Can you introduce your watch?
Sure, this is a Pebble smartwatch, currently running our Commandware software. If I grab the tablet out of my bag, I could send my phone a message, which would show up on my watch, which I could then acknowledge and would show up on a map along with where my phone's located right now. And then I'd upload a picture saying, hey, I'm at this thing, and then the operations commander would see it. I'll maybe do a demo later.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the Internet of Things or any of this other many things I've mentioned tonight? No? We're good? Okay. Awesome. Thanks very much.
Good job.
You got the portal?
Oh, I do, yes. I was going to run away with it, but I guess I can give it back since you caught it.
Lucky I didn't have you talking last. Okay, so there's my pretty photo. Everybody like, have a laugh.
We all need vanity photos.
Yeah, that's it. Blue steel.
Magnum.
Okay, so demo time. This is the disaster that everybody's been here to see. Besides Andrew, obviously Andrew, great topic there on Internet of Things, but same reason I go to watch NASCAR. I don't go to watch NASCAR, but when I watch NASCAR, I'm there for a crash. And I'm sure how complicated this was to actually do. I think it's like I have a good chance in Vegas if this works afterwards. Yeah.
Just be careful nobody signed any waivers.
Ooh.
I'll take a bullet for you all. But just to recap on what we were talking about at the last PUG about this, the idea was that the drone could be sitting in China, for instance, or anywhere in the world, maybe South Africa or somewhere where there's mining going on. you would have wireless routers set up around the location so that you could get a connection to the drone. That would talk back to, in this example, I was talking about Amazon AWS because they have BDI as a service up there. And then back here in a Canadian, I throw in Australia because we're the only place that's not going to get nuked at the end of World War III, and because everybody forgot about us. And the US office. So from there, or even a roaming user from a laptop or tablet device or something, could connect to their VDI interface, which this network here on Amazon would be connected to the VPN to China, which would give you a connection to the drone. Now, and this little picture down here is just where I really think things are going, where it's more of a plane drone rather than a helicopter drone. And for one of those reasons is battery efficiency. The battery on this drone that we've got here tonight, 11 minutes. And I'll probably waste about one of those minutes or two of those minutes just calibrating it and getting this complicated setup working. So already I'm down to 9 minutes. But for a hovering drone, like gliding and all those sort of things, you can cover a lot more distance there. And this actual image here is something that Parrot are working on with another company, I believe, unless they just own the company and still using the branding. But it's something that they're talking about coming out very shortly, and they're advertising it to be used for geo mapping and things like that. Obviously, there's a lot of talk in the community and media about laws around drones and things like that. I must point out that what I'm doing here tonight goes against the civil aviation thing, so don't go out there and do it. I think it's okay because we're in a confined area here, but even so, there's a lot of rules there. Make sure that you're checking them out before you go and do this. But this is more about a concept showing, I like to show something bleeding edge that we can do with cloud, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there about the cloud, that it can't do even the basic rudimentary things that people are doing in enterprise with hardware. So I like to take the extreme example and just show how far we can go with the cloud. So this is something I concocted up last night very quickly to give you an idea of how it's going to work today. I decided not to do the Amazon VDI. I felt like I was already biting off more than I could chew with the demo already. So what I've actually got set up is, unfortunately, this drone itself can only work with a Android or iOS app. But obviously, so workspaces wouldn't work because you'd need it to be a Windows-based app. And also you could do the same with Linux, but obviously there's nothing there for Linux either. So, but there are a lot of drones out there that you can actually use their APIs to create your own software there. So there is that opportunity as well. But I'm guessing that Parrot at the moment are not doing that sort of thing for the very reason I had to hack this device, because one of the civil aviation rules is that the drone pilot has to be in direct sight of the drone itself. So obviously, if we go back, I'm sitting here in Australia and the drone's taking off in China. I'm already breaking the rules. Now, whose rules? Well, that's the other thing I was questioning. After I found that out, I was like, well, is that just the US rules and I could be sitting in somewhere else in the world, or is it just, where do those rules apply? Is it when the drone's in China, or when the drone's in the US, or where I'm sitting? Is that where the rules apply? I don't know. I would assume it's where the drone is, because that's where the damage is going to happen. But that's, I mean, I didn't try to attempt to be an expert on the legal matters of this. It's more just a proof of concept, but I thought it should be something that I just bring aware to everybody's, because it does open up a can of worms there, and probably something that's good to have a discussion over a few beers later on. But, so the idea here tonight is we're doing a bit of MacGyver work here. I'll be turning my phone on, which is down to 30% battery because I've been paranoid and been testing this all day. So but that's fine because we've only got 11 minutes battery life anyway on the drone. It'll be using its own LTE connection. I've made sure I've got an LTE connection here. It'll be going out to the internet directly. Now the drone itself has been hacked to connect to a router that we've got there with which has a SIM card in it, which is getting an LTE connection as well. So that will be going out to a cloud VPN server. So this is still part of this cloud VPN here. So we're still doing that. We're just missing out this VDI piece and just bringing it back down to here. So we've got that secure connection there, and we're connecting up through here, down, and yeah. So and I wanted to. So I've got the disclaimer there, but also I wanted to point out that one of the biggest things that made this hard to do a demo of, I'm just making up so many excuses before it fails, was this venue. I did not know if I was going to get a good signal or not. It's great that I can get an LTE. I did test it earlier. I got a 5-second bit of flight time, big delay. But obviously, if you were going to do this at a fixed location, you'd know that your internet connection is pretty stable, and you'd be using most likely some solid infrastructure with a fiber connection or something like that, and the only weak point would just be the wireless to the actual drone itself. But tonight we're using wireless all the way through, so it's another reason why I'm not worried about it actually hurting anybody. That's just to build up the drama, but I am worried about it not actually doing anything at all.
And man, no worries. I mean, if it's illegal, it's all on tape. So.
That's it. If there's any other legal
close-ups of your face too while you're.
When this goes online, it'll just be like this big black beep for 5 minutes. Just we could not release this. So if you bear with me for a moment, if somebody could just hold this. Yes. I feel like a magician doing some acting. Okay. So this will. Yeah. I need to have like some dancers come out or something right now just to distract everybody from the. What's happening. So what it'll be doing now is connecting back to get the connection. So I just have to wait. Obviously I just couldn't leave it sitting there on because the battery would run out.
If it helps, oh, there we go. It's doing something different. It had a flashing red exclamation mark, which didn't seem promising, but oh, it's doing that again.
The exclamation mark does come up because
okay. That's a good sign?
It's meant to do. It's actually does Internet of Things, that device, monitoring. And
oh, okay.
So, it's because it has no paired devices with that bit of it.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, probably don't know it. Need to know that. But let us get into. I'm glad I got you there to tell me that though, because this would have been embarrassing me trying to make sure. Working.
Yeah, don't go to China tonight, okay? I have to go to the washroom.
Okay.
That's surprising.
I wish everything that was happening right now could be on a screen with code coming down. I know everybody would be like getting really excited. And the other
we can get someone in like a hoodie with like the Matrix screensaver and they can pretend they're a hacksaw or something.
So where do you think it's failing right now?
I don't think it's failing yet.
No, still it's warming up the vacuum.
I'm actually, I'm just letting you guys know to be patient because.
What are you waking up the gnomes or something or what?
No, it's just a lot of latency. So obviously we're over LTE right now. This is over LTE. Well, that over there is over LTE. This is over LTE. Yeah. I've got it all connected now. Now I'm just waiting for it to hopefully sense it. And this is the nerve-wracking bit.
I hate to ask the obvious, but is that drone actually powered on? Like, did you hit the power button on it or what?
But since you say it, I've got it now double check. It did make its normal beeping sounds at the start. So power up this app again. A lot of the time I find that I'm just impatient and I should have waited that extra 60 seconds.
Come on, man, the free world depends on this.
That's it. Yeah, I just wish I could have had it on standby.
Would it be incredibly difficult to just connect it to the Wi-Fi?
Well, that'd be cheating. Oh, hang on. Oh, got something. Okay. Here we go. Now, the other thing I learned, my first test flight, actually, it crashed within a millisecond. So, one of the first things you do, I would suggest, is make sure that the maximum altitude is, by default, it's set to 3 meters, which is higher than the ceiling. And the other thing is change the controls to joypad. By default, it's like tilt. So when I tested it the first time, there was so much latency, and I'm like going, what's going on? What's going on? All of a sudden, it just goes bang right into the roof. So, but it does hold up really well. As soon as it hit, it killed off like normal. I used to be into the whole remote control helicopter things, and you would spend so much money because it would just keep plowing into the ground after it had crashed, sort of thing, so everything broke. This actually like kills off straight away. Now what I might do, just because I don't trust it backing into the, and if you want to move that,
It's okay, I know.
so,
Finally, we enter. Hi, how are you? Cool, man.
there we go. Now if it starts coming towards you, you might want to back away first, rather than trust that I'll get it to back away before you.
No problem.
I'm just happy that it's
Yeah.
Hello, Skynet.
Oh, that's cool.
Very nice one. Good job, man.
I like the scary shadow.
Yeah, it's very ominous.
So that movement right now, I'm not actually moving. There is a lot of whatever the air circulation that's going on.
Turbulence. Yeah. Well, can you fly it around? I mean, does it just hang there? I mean, that's pretty easy.
Well, now, I would rather not. Like Drew rightly pointed out, nobody signed a waiver.
And if you're willing to sign a waiver, we'll gladly fly it around.
Superman. No problem.
It starts coming towards you, you might want to back away first, rather than trust that I'll get it to back away before you. The other problem is I could have lost control of it already. I've actually programmed it for the rest of the 9 minutes.
That's why I stopped doing anything. Higher, higher!
Yeah, fine, man.
So I'm finding about every third time I tell it to do something, it's listening.
Well, wait.
Sorry?
So if we wait a while, we'll see if you do this.
Yeah. I've actually programmed it for the rest of the 9 minutes. I'm going home now.
Yeah.
Cellular level.
Next time you can put the camera on stand our face. Oh, good job, man.
There we go. You were making me really nervous there for a while. Like, there's always someone there that's as impatient as I am.
Yeah, better speak next time, okay? Don't let him go in.
So glad that worked. That was a lot of effort for what could have been very embarrassing. So, does anybody want to jump up and give a lightning talk about what they've been doing in the cloud? Like I said, it's no pressure. But if in future like you want to come up here, or your boss wants to come up here and give a plug, let everybody know what you're all about, pop me an email, put a message on the meetup group, let us know if you want to have a chat. Definitely, if you want to be like Andrew, and or even like
Or even better.
Hey, Andrew,
Too late.
what you do,
Should let people
you know,
in
like in Aliens 2, when they're like the guys in the control room and they've all got the thing. Is that kind of what you do?
Are you gonna say he's gonna die?
We'll talk later.
But if you do want to jump up, we're starting to, we've organised the next 6 months of events already. We're starting to have a really good, strong roadmap for this cloud. The next user group is going to be on security. So if you feel like you're an expert on security, maybe you might want to jump up here and tell us all about that. So we've organised we're actually on that point. We're going to be changing the schedule of this group. So Tuesdays have been a bit competitive to have user group, a lot of competition from other user groups.
We have had pretty good turnouts.
We have, but I heard today we bumped the band Ruby for our last one. I feel really bad now. So
Ruby.
Van Tug is on right now, yeah.
But so anyway, we're going to change it to Wednesdays. That we felt that first Wednesday of every month happens to coincide with April Fool's Day. So if you see it on there, don't think that I'm just having a lend and it's really on Tuesday. It will be the first Wednesday of every month now.
Is it posted on Meetup?
Not yet. Straight after this, probably tomorrow I'll put it up. Because we already have the layout.
No, we're doing the second. We're doing the second Wednesday of every month.
Yeah.
No, first.
No, we got
No.
the Linux desktop
We were thinking
on
first,
Wednesdays. The
but
first
you were,
Wednesdays.
remember we said that you were psyching yourself out by saying first.
No, but anyway,
The second Wednesday of every month.
we'll announce whatever you see online. Go with that. Okay. We don't want to have this discussion while everybody's going. So, now that we've confused you totally. But it's good that
You can blame me for that.
It's good that you say that, because if I'm wrong, it's good that now everybody's a little bit unsure. But the next one anyway is going to be at Code Core. So that was where our previous event was, and the idea of moving the day is to have it permanently at Code Core. So we're going to have that as our permanent venue, and the topic's going to be on cloud security. What's with the straitjacket there? Again, it's about making things interesting. Drone, I'm not going to reveal all the secrets, but there is going to be a straitjacket involved at the event. So I don't want to give anything away by talking about that, but we have something pretty fun organised there. And obviously we'll be doing a lot more hands-on. And unfortunately, I didn't have time to organise any prizes this time round, but hopefully we should have some prizes for the next one. Again, lightning talks if you want to jump up and have a talk, and if you're interested in sponsoring the event. This food and drinks and everything for our networking time, and all the online bits with the film editor now that we've got to put these videos up online, couldn't be possible without our sponsors. So if you want, let me know and we can talk. And yeah, and then again, it's all about you guys. So whatever you guys want to see here, let me know. You don't have to be up the front here presenting, but if you want to give me feedback and say, you know what would make this even better, send me an email. Let me know.
Hey, I suggest, beside the cold meat, can you add some pizza on? Because I feel hungry now. Just kidding.
Hey Matt, how do you find locations? You've done a really good job, but is it a difficult task?
It is, but hopefully we won't have to worry about that anymore.
How'd you
Now that
find
we'll
this
be at
one?
Code Core.
This one's good, yeah.
How'd you find this one?
Drew, actually.
Oh, thanks.
Drew's the connection
Drew.
man. He's not only good at choosing beers, he can find venues.
I actually just have one thing to say, if I could.
Yeah, sure,
everybody.
go for it.
If you're interested in working in cloud on some of the most interesting open source projects in the world with some of the best developers in the world, I'll take you for lunch. Come and find me, and I'll give you my email. That was it.
Sounds promising. I want to go to lunch now.
Right?
The world? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the world.
Okay, so that's it. Everybody, thank you for your attendance. And yeah, give us feedback.